The desert wind moaned across the endless dunes, each grain of sand a skeletal whisper beneath the suffocating cloak of stars. My patrol, 4 shadows swallowed by the inky blackness, trudged in practiced silence, the only sound the rhythmic rasp of our breaths and the unsettling crunch of boots on bone-dry earth. This night, the usual oppressive emptiness felt different, charged with an unseen tension that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. It wasn't just the suffocating silence or the way the shadows seemed to writhe with unseen movement. It was a deeper dread, a primal whisper that slithered down my spine like a desert viper. "You feel it, right?" Ramirez, ever the perceptive one, muttered beside me, his voice barely a rasp. I couldn't answer, the words choked by the lump forming in my throat. The feeling, that prickling unease, had morphed into a cold certainty. We were being watched, not by coyotes or the occasional Bedouin, but by something older, something darker, something that hummed with an alien hunger. Then, the sound. A low, guttural keening that vibrated in my bones rather than my ears, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very fabric of the night. It wasn't a howl, not a screech, but a chilling melody of hunger, sung in a language older than words. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the suffocating silence. As the sound intensified, morphing into a blood-curdling shriek that tore through the night, the desert itself seemed to hold its breath. The air grew thick and heavy, the stars dimmed, and even the ever-present wind died down, creating a vacuum of anticipation that pressed down on our chests like a physical weight. My squad opened fire, the staccato bursts of their rifles echoing like panicked prayers in the vast emptiness. But the bullets seemed to pass through the creature, leaving only shimmering trails in their wake. It was like trying to shoot at smoke, at the very essence of fear. Panic gnawed at me, but training took over. I raised my night vision scope, the world transforming into an emerald wasteland. Heat waves danced, distorting the landscape, but through the shimmering mirage I saw it. A shape, tall and impossibly thin, its limbs twisted at unnatural angles like the branches of a dead tree contorted by some malevolent force. Its skin, if you could call it that, seemed to shimmer and writhe, reflecting the starlight in an unsettling, almost liquid way. It moved in a way that defied physics, shimmering and blurring at the edges, always just beyond the scope's grasp. Yet I felt its gaze, heavy and malevolent, burning into my very soul. The creature surged forward, its form solidifying for a horrifying moment before dissolving back into the swirling heat. It was close. I could feel its fetid breath on my neck, smell the acrid tang of something ancient and alien. Panic turned to blind flight. I ran, legs pumping against the soft sand, the creature's laughter echoing behind me, a chilling symphony of otherworldly malice. My squad was gone, swallowed by the desert's maw, or claimed by the unseen hunter. I was alone, adrift in a sea of dunes under a cold, indifferent sky. My only solace was the cold comfort of the green glow of my scope, the only witness to the horror that unfolded that night. But the true terror wasn't just the encounter. It was the chilling realization that the creature wasn't confined to the desert. It was everywhere, unseen, unheard, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the moment of weakness, the moment of fear. The desert might hold its secrets close, but the real horror, I knew with bone-deep certainty, had followed me home. Now, every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves sends shivers down my spine. The desert's silence haunts my dreams, and the creature's keening laughter echoes in the quiet corners of my mind. I am a changed man, forever marked by the night the desert revealed its most terrible secret, a secret that now chills me to the core, a secret that whispers its name in the dead of night, the sand stalker. But the story doesn't end there. The desert wind carries whispers, and the stars hold secrets older than time. Legends speak of the sand stalker, a creature older than humanity itself, a being woven from the fabric of the desert itself. It is said to be drawn to fear, its power growing with each terrified scream, each panicked heartbeat. Driven by a morbid curiosity and a desperate hope to understand, I returned to the desert. The wind whispered its secrets, the sand spoke of ancient horrors, and the stars, in their silent language, revealed a terrifying truth. The sand stalker wasn't just a predator. It was a conduit, a gateway between our world and a realm beyond comprehension, a realm of pure nightmare where the laws of physics and sanity bend and break. The creature wasn't drawn to fear, it amplified it, twisting it into a beacon that called forth even greater horrors from its own dimension. My return to the desert wasn't a pilgrimage of understanding, it was a foolish mistake. The whispers became screams, the sand morphed into writhing tentacles, and the stars pulsed with an alien light that burned into my very soul. The sand stalker emerged, no longer a solitary entity, but a vanguard, a harbinger of the horrors to come. Their forms shifted and writhed, defying description, their voices a cacophony of madness that clawed at my sanity. I fought, fueled by primal terror and a flicker of desperate hope, but my bullets passed through them, my grenades detonated harmlessly. I was a fly caught in a web of nightmares. Then, as suddenly as it began, it ended. The creatures retreated, the gateway slammed shut, leaving behind an echoing silence more terrifying than any scream. I was left alone, trembling in the sand, the weight of what I had witnessed pressing down on me like a tomb. I returned home, a broken shell of the man I once was. The desert's secrets had been revealed, but at what cost? The knowledge gnawed at me, a poisoned chalice that filled my nightmares with visions of writhing tentacles and maddening whispers. But the silence was an illusion. I knew, with chilling certainty, that the gateway wasn't truly closed. The sand stalker and the horrors it served merely waited, biding their time for the next tremor of fear, the next eruption of human darkness to beckon them back. And I, forever marked by the desert's touch, was all that stood between our world and the madness that lay beyond. Now, I wander the world, a lone sentinel, a haunted prophet searching for a way to truly close the gate. My warnings fall on deaf ears, dismissed as the ravings of a madman. But I know the truth. The desert's silence screams with it, and the stars, in their cold, indifferent gaze, reflect the chilling reality. The horror is real, and it waits, just beyond the edge of our vision. I may not be able to save the world, but I can bear witness. I can tell the story, whisper the warnings, even if no one listens. For in the end, perhaps the only weapon we have against the darkness is the courage to remember, the courage to face the truth, even in the face of our own annihilation. And that, my friends, is a story worth telling, even if it's the last one I ever tell. The sun hammered down on my skull like a blacksmith's anvil, each crunching step through the endless dunes feeling like another nail driven into my coffin. Stupidity, not pride, had fueled my decision to stray from the marked path, lured by the allure of ancient petroglyphs rumored to lie hidden amongst the sun-baked mesas. Now, as twilight stretched its skeletal fingers across the landscape, all I had for company were the whispers of the wind and the gnawing unease in my gut. Dehydration clawed at the edges of my sanity, blurring the line between reality and mirage. Shimmering oases mocked me in the distance, only to dissolve into shimmering heat waves as I approached, replaced by the cruel laughter of the wind. Or was it laughter? The desert, a master of illusions, reveled in my confusion. Then, amidst the swirling heat, I saw them. Figures, shimmering and translucent, rising from the dunes, like heat shimmering into human form. Soldiers, clad in archaic armor etched with forgotten symbols, their faces frozen in masks of pain and fury. They clashed in a silent ballet of death, their spectral weapons sparking with an otherworldly glow. My heart hammered against my ribs, terror warring with a morbid fascination that held me rooted to the spot. Were they ghosts? Hallucinations born of the unrelenting sun? Or perhaps echoes of a long-forgotten battle forever imprinted on the very fabric of the desert? As night descended, the figures solidified, their spectral blades leaving bloody gashes on the sand that vanished moments later. Their silent cries, though soundless, resonated in my mind, their rage and despair tangible even in the absence of a voice. Sleep became a distant dream, replaced by a chilling vigil as the spectral battle raged around me. The next day, the sun did little to dispel the lingering chill. The figures followed me, their silent cries a constant companion. Their presence fueled a new determination. I had to escape this haunted battlefield, crawl back to the world of the living, even if it meant crawling on my hands and knees. I stumbled onwards, fueled by sheer terror and a sliver of hope. But the desert seemed to twist and turn against me. The trail, if it ever existed, was lost. My supplies dwindled, thirst a constant ache in my throat. The figures closed in, their spectral visages contorted in silent screams. The line between hallucination and reality blurred further. One day, as the sun bled into the horizon, I stumbled upon an oasis, a mirage that refused to dissipate. Lush palm trees swayed in the cool breeze, and a glimmer of water mocked my parched lips. It could have been another trick, but desperation propelled me forward. As I collapsed beside the life-giving water, a spectral warrior loomed over me, his sword raised high. But before the blade could fall, a blinding flash split the sky. Thunder roared, shaking the very earth. Rain, a desert miracle, poured down in sheets, washing away the sand and the spectral warriors with it. I lay there, shivering and soaking, unsure if I'd been saved by a divine intervention or a freak storm. When the rain subsided, the desert looked different. The harsh, mocking landscape had softened, the air no longer charged with silent screams. I found my way back, guided by a compass that hadn't worked before. My body bore the scars of the ordeal, but the deeper scars were etched on my soul. Back in the world of the living, the desert's horrors seemed like a fever dream. But sometimes, under the silver light of a full moon, I hear the sound of clashing steel and silent screams. The desert ghosts may be gone, but their memory lingers, a testament to a forgotten war, a battle older than time. And I, forever marked by their chilling presence, stand as a silent testament to their existence. Yet, the story doesn't end there. Driven by an unhealthy blend of fear and morbid curiosity, I returned to the desert. The wind whispered secrets, the sand spoke of ancient horrors, and the stars, in their silent language, hinted at a terrifying truth. The ghostly soldiers weren't just warriors, they were guardians, bound to an eternal oath, forever locked in combat with a far more sinister entity, a shadowy malevolence that resided beneath the desert's sun-baked skin. Driven by a twisted sense of responsibility, I delved deeper into the haunted heart of the desert. I followed ancient glyphs etched on weathered rocks, deciphering their cryptic message, a warning against disturbing the slumbering evil. But warnings, like mirages, tend to be ignored by those consumed by thirst, both literal and metaphorical. I found the entity's prison, a hidden cave pulsing with malevolent energy. The spectral warriors, their ethereal forms flickering with renewed determination, stood guard, their silent screams now tinged with desperation. My presence, it seemed, had triggered a final confrontation. The spectral warriors surged forward, their blades humming with ethereal energy. The malevolent entity, a swirling mass of inky shadow, pulsed with rage, its tendrils lashing out at the warriors and reaching for me. Terror and a strange sense of duty warred within me. Should I flee, leave this ancient conflict to unfold without my intrusion? Or was I, somehow, meant to play a part, to tip the scales in this timeless battle? As I hesitated, the sand beneath my feet began to writhe. Grotesque figures, half shadow, half man, clawed their way from the earth, their eyes burning with malevolent purpose. The entity's laughter, a chilling wind whispering through shattered glass, filled the air. Desperate, I grabbed a discarded spear from the battlefield, its spectral metal cool in my hands. I fought alongside the warriors, my fear slowly transforming into a determined defiance. We were outnumbered, outmatched, yet we fought, driven by a shared purpose, a primal need to resist the encroaching darkness. The battle raged, the desert echoing with the clash of steel and the entity's unearthly shrieks. Just as exhaustion threatened to claim me, the sand beneath the entity began to shift. A deep tremor shook the earth, and a blinding light erupted from the cave's depths. The entity shrieked, its form contorting in agony as it was drawn back into the prison. As the light subsided, silence descended. The spectral warriors faded, their silent cries replaced by an unsettling stillness. The grotesque figures crumbled back into the sand, leaving only empty husks. I stood alone, the spear heavy in my hand, the taste of sand and fear gritting my teeth. Had I won? Or had I merely postponed a battle destined to be fought forever? The answer, like the desert itself, remained shrouded in mystery. As I turned to leave, I swear I saw a flicker of movement in the cave's entrance, a fleeting shadow that vanished before I could focus on it. The desert held its secrets close, its whispers taunting me with the possibility that the entity, the battle, the very ghosts themselves were merely pawns in a larger, unseen game. I returned to the world of the living, forever marked by the experience. The desert's silence now held a different meaning, a chilling reminder of the unseen battles that waged beneath the sun-baked sands. And sometimes, under the silver light of a full moon, I hear the faint echo of clashing steel and silent screams, a reminder that the line between reality and the mysteries that lie hidden beyond is thinner than we dare to imagine. The desert may hold its secrets close, but the memory of what I witnessed lingers, a chilling testament to the battles that rage in the unseen corners of our world. And I, forever bound to the desert's whispers, remain a silent observer, a reminder that even the seemingly barren landscapes hold secrets older than time and battles beyond our comprehension. Ranger Sarah squinted into the relentless sun, its glare bouncing off the sun-baked canyons of Sunstone National Park. Another missing hiker, another needle lost in the desert haystack. This time, it was young Ethan, a cocky teenager who boasted of conquering the arid expanse only to be swallowed whole 3 days ago. Hope, a precious commodity in this desolate landscape, gnawed at Sarah's insides like a starving coyote. Each sunset painted the sky a stark reminder of time slipping away. Today, however, a glint of metal caught her eye. Half buried in the crimson sand, a canteen, dented and rusted, the name Ethan barely visible. It wasn't much, but it was a lead, a fragile thread to cling to in the vast emptiness. The trail led her deeper into the labyrinthine canyons, the air thick with silence and the weight of millennia. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, ominous shadows, she stumbled upon a hidden entrance, camouflaged by jagged rocks. Curiosity, a ranger's curse, battled with an instinct screaming danger. Curiosity won. Inside, the cave walls pulsed with an unnatural chill. Sarah switched on her headlamp, its beam revealing ancient symbols etched onto the stone, their meaning lost to time. The air grew colder, heavier, filled with a low, pulsating hum that vibrated through her bones. Then, a shift in the shadows. Not a coyote, not a desert cat. Something ancient, hungry and waiting. A monstrous form emerged from the darkness, its eyes glowing like twin embers in the cold air. It was larger than a bear, its fur a patchwork of matted shadows, its claws dripping with an icy gleam. The Wendigo, a creature whispered of in campfire tales, stood before her, awakened from its slumber by her intrusion. Fear, cold and sharp, ripped through Sarah. She raised her pistol, a meager defense against a being older than time. The Wendigo tilted its head, its icy gaze burning into her soul. It opened its maw, revealing an abyss of darkness that threatened to swallow her whole. A chilling wind carried its voice, a rasping whisper that spoke of hunger and the warmth of human flesh. Panic propelled Sarah forward. She stumbled through the caverns, the Wendigo's heavy footfalls echoing behind her. The symbols on the walls pulsed with an eerie light, their meaning suddenly clear. A warning. A curse upon those who disturb the slumber of the beast. She could barely breathe, the icy air clawing at her lungs. Up ahead, a faint glimmer, the cave entrance. Freedom, if the monster wouldn't reach her first. Her legs pumped, but the Wendigo closed the gap, its icy breath hot on her neck. Just as she reached the opening, the sun peeked over the horizon, casting its golden light into the cave. The Wendigo recoiled, its form shrinking, melting back into the shadows. With a guttural shriek, it retreated into the darkness, the chill fading with its presence. Sarah burst out of the cave, collapsing onto the sun-baked sand. Tears streamed down her face, a mixture of relief and terror. She had escaped, but the encounter had carved itself onto her soul, an indelible mark of the horror she had witnessed. But the story didn't end there. Driven by a morbid curiosity and a desperate hope to understand, Sarah returned to the cave days later. The wind whispered secrets, the sun painted the sand with shadows, and the stars, in their silent language, revealed a terrifying truth. The Wendigo wasn't just a predator. It was a conduit, a gateway to a realm beyond comprehension, a realm of pure nightmare where the laws of physics and sanity bend and break. The creature wasn't drawn to fear. It amplified it, twisting it into a beacon that called forth even greater horrors from its own dimension. Each panicked heartbeat, each choked sob, fed the Wendigo's power, a twisted offering to the entities waiting beyond the veil. Haunted by this knowledge, Sarah knew she couldn't ignore it. The desert held its secrets close, but its silence screamed with the echoes of unseen horrors. Her escape, she realized, had been a fragile reprieve. The gateway remained open, a fissure in reality held shut only by the fading echo of the sun's light. Driven by a newfound purpose, Sarah delved deeper into the desert's hidden lore, unearthing ancient rituals and forgotten spells, desperate to find a way to seal the gateway permanently. Her nights were filled with nightmares, whispers of the Wendigo, and the entities it served gnawing at her sanity. Her days were spent deciphering cryptic texts, her hands calloused from tracing forgotten symbols in the sand. One night, under the cold gaze of a full moon, Sarah stood before the cave entrance, armed not with a pistol, but with knowledge, a weapon forged in desperation and hope. She chanted the words she had painstakingly deciphered, each syllable carrying the weight of an ancient promise. The cave pulsed with an ominous energy, the gateway straining against the fabric of reality. The Wendigo emerged, its eyes burning with renewed anger, but Sarah stood her ground. As the creature lunged, she unleashed the final incantation, a wave of energy emanating from her hands. The Wendigo shrieked, its form contorting as the spell ripped through it. The gateway wavered, its edges shimmering and unstable. With a final surge of power, Sarah pushed the spell forward, slamming the gateway shut. Darkness erupted from the fissure, tendrils lashing out before being sucked back into the abyss. The cave shuddered, dust raining down as the entrance collapsed, burying the horror within. Sarah collapsed, drained and shivering. The weight of what she had done pressed down on her like a mountain, the knowledge of the horrors she had glimpsed leaving an indelible mark. But as the sun rose, painting the sky in hues of hope, she knew she had done what she had to do. The desert remained silent, but its secrets felt less oppressive, the whispers replaced by a cautious peace. She returned to the park ranger station, a changed woman. The search for Ethan was never officially closed, but she knew deep down he was lost to the darkness she had fought back. Her colleagues admired her resilience, praising her for surviving the harsh elements. But Sarah knew the truth. She had survived something far more ancient, far more terrifying. The desert held its secrets, yes, but now she held a secret of her own. The knowledge of the gateway, the chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked beyond, and the burden of being the one who stood between them and the world. She wouldn't speak of it openly for fear of ridicule or disbelief, but under the desert stars, under the watchful gaze of the ancient symbols she now understood, she made a silent vow. She would remain vigilant, a guardian against the nightmares that slumbered beneath the sun-baked sands, forever marked by the encounter that had transformed her from a ranger into a silent sentinel, forever standing between humanity and the abyss. The story might have ended with Sarah sealing the gateway, but her journey continues. Each night, the whispers return, fainter now, but ever present. Each full moon, she stands watch, a solitary figure silhouetted against the desert sky, a reminder that even in the vast emptiness, there are those who stand guard, carrying the weight of unseen battles and the burden of secrets that must never be forgotten. And under the desert stars, a chilling truth hangs heavy. The horrors might be slumbering, but the battle, like the wind, is never truly over.